We're in the 18th chapter of Revelation today. When we get to 19, 20, and 21, we'll be lifting up that Messiah, King, Lord of Lords, and looking at Him and seeing who He is. And can't wait to get to there. But today we are in the 18th chapter of Revelation, and we're dealing with Babylon the Great. We're going to be talking about some interesting subjects today that are extremely applicable to our current situation, to our lives as we live them today. We're reading through the eyes of a 90 to 95-year-old exiled man. This man, his name is John. He's the same one that wrote the Gospel of John, and the same one that wrote John 1, John 2, and John 3. He wrote Revelation and the Apocalypse, the unveiling. John was in trouble with the Roman government for preaching Christianity, for preaching Christ, because the Romans were very pagan, and they worshipped their Caesars as God, as well as the pantheon of what used to be Greek gods that are now, have their names changed, but they're Roman gods. And so John was preaching Christ, monotheism, one God, and he got into trouble with these leaders in Rome. He had this amazing vision. It's tantalizing, but it's deadly at the same time. And he saw this thing called the Mother of Harlots. And it's called an abomination of the earth. And so he's going to describe for us today this woman that he saw in his vision. This woman was riding, as we will read a little bit later, she was riding on the back of a beast, an animal. And an animal like we've never seen or heard, but understand, this is all metaphor. John uses the words like, and it looked as if, and they resembled. In other words, he's using metaphoric language to try to describe for us these things that he saw in his vision. I've often wished, and I think I said last Thursday night, that John had been able to have lived a little while in the 21st century so that he could use language of our world to describe this. Then we wouldn't have to try to translate it into, in other words, his language would be like our language, but I'll do my best as I can to bring that current today. And he said in Revelation 17:6, and I saw this woman, the harlot, drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So when John saw this vision and this woman, she was magnificent. She was gorgeous. She was rich. She was alluring. She had in this vision, she had everything anybody could possibly want. And as I describe her today further, you'll understand that she is an amazing thing. And he said, and I wondered with great admiration. John in his vision he admired this woman, this great harlot. But let me tell you that she is the mother of harlots, but she is a stone cold killer. All right? Just need to know that up front. She may look beautiful and soft and alluring, but she has the heart of a killer, of a murderer. So incredible was his sight that John had to simply say, I admire this woman. Mystery, Babylon the Great is a religious system. All right? So that's the metaphor. I'm breaking it down now. It is a religious system that's going to encompass all the inhabitants of the earth. That's what he saw as we unpack it. It is a system of religion, a one-world religion, a one-world church, an ecumenical amalgamation and synthesis of theologies, philosophies, and values, all melded together in this new church that we're beginning to see today as it formulates and comes together. Three important questions that I asked myself, and I wanted to answer today with this sermon, and I don't know that I'll get it all done, but these are some of the goals that I had. I want to define for you, who is this marvelous but terrible woman, this mother of harlots, called the abomination of the earth? Who is she? And she has written on her forehead these words, Mystery, Babylon the Great. Mystery. Babylon the Great. Who is this mystery? What is she? So we're going to try to answer that today if I can. I want to talk a little bit, not so much today, but in the future as we preach here, on the beast that she's riding upon. What is that? Who is the beast? And then thirdly, what is the terrible plan that is even now quickly coming to pass that will bring such blood and horror to all of our lives? So I want to say, what is her plan? What's she riding on, and who is she? So those are some things I'm going to be looking for in the next few weeks as we preach through this. I believe that we are watching the prostitution of the Mother Catholic Church happen today. It's been going on for a while. But I'm thinking with this new Franciscan Pope that is leading the Catholic Church, we're watching something unusual happen with them that has never happened before. This new Pope, let me just say it like this, keep your eye on him and watch him. Some things I've been reading about what he's going to come out with in September. He's going to be speaking to our Congress in September. Are you aware of that? Yeah. And to the United Nations, etc. And he has an agenda called Agenda 21. And this agenda is a world agenda that he's going to try to bring everybody under. And it's going to come in under the guise of environmentalism. But if you read behind the scenes, it's a whole lot more than environmentalism. It's going to be more of a control where he gets everybody all together. He has already brought Muslims into the Vatican and prayed with them. And he says he has said, quote, the Quran is just like our Bible. He's already said that. It's on that level. And so I'm just telling you, I don't want to be a Catholic basher. I will not do that. I love Catholic people. And I've told you before, I am a Catholic. In my heart, I'm a universal believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not a Roman Catholic, but I am a universal believer. And that's what that means. Catholic means universal. And so that describes me too. But so I don't want to criticize him, but I want to tell you that I think that we're watching this whore jump in bed with the Catholic Church, and in fact it may be that this is what comes out of that. I don't know that, but I can see that coming. Now, the falling away of the apostate Christian church doesn't change the truth of the Bible. Please hear me. Even though it's pronounced from the Pope, it doesn't change the church. But the question still haunts me, and that is, could it be that the papacy is the head of this mystery Babylon church? And it could be. I'm not saying it. Now, that it is, but I'm not saying that it isn't either. Let me also tell you about something else I'm seeing coming. We talked about this when I was preaching through Revelation, the first few chapters months ago, and we came through and we found this vague, obscure little thing called the Synagogue of Satan. Now, if you remember it or not, you can read it in Revelation 2:9 and Revelation 3:9. That phrase is used, Synagogue of Satan. Now, this Synagogue of Satan, I believe, is forming an alliance with the Vatican. They're getting in bed with the Vatican. Now, this Synagogue of Satan is what we call our world bankers. They're the bankers of the world. Why are they the Synagogue of Satan? Because they're Jewish. They're all Jewish. All these banker heads have Jewish names. Rothschilds. You can just read it. You've heard those names. They're behind this Illuminati banker elite group that are bringing together. They're going to try to crush, listen carefully to me, they're going to try to crush the world's economies. And they're doing, excuse my language, a dang good job of it right now. They're crashing the language of the economies of the world. Greece is struggling. Portugal is struggling. Puerto Rico is struggling. America is struggling. They're trying to crush all of our economies, these banker elites. And when they get it crushed, what do they want to do with it? They want to get us all on a new kind of economy, a new kind of system, we're going to get off the dollar, and they want to get us on some other kind of money. And it's universal money. You can spend it in America and Europe and in Africa, wherever you go, the same economic system. The problem with it is, it's going to be what will turn into the mark of the beast. And eventually will become an economy that if you use it, you'll have to swear allegiance to this new beast. and turn your back on Christ. And let me say to you this, and I've said it before, don't do this at all costs, because it's irrevocable. Once you walk away and join this new world system, you can't come back. Now you say, well, that doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense. But that's why I'm telling you, it has more to do with things even genetically, etc. Don't let me get into that, because it's a long story. But I'll get to that some other time. These Zionists, these banker elite Jews, they plan to usher in the Antichrist, their false Messiah. Today, the Jewish nation is looking for their Messiah to come. And they are heating up. Their rabbis are getting excited. They're talking about it. They're finding in the scriptures and the Old Torah the timing. They feel so excited. They think their new Messiah is going to arrive any moment. Any moment. They're looking for him. And let me tell you who they're looking for. The wrong one.
Amen.
Now, why is he the wrong one? Because the right one's already been here.
Amen.
We've already had the right one. We've had him for 2,000 years, but they rejected him. But they're going to fall for the next one. And they're going to embrace him. But he won't be the Messiah that we believe in. He's going to be the devil's right hand, if not the devil himself. So, in these momentous days in which Satan is preparing America for the world, for this final assault on our liberties, on our freedoms, our very souls, this Zionist Illuminati elite and these black scarlet-robed men of Rome are conspiring together for your death. They're conspiring to take your life, everything from you, your freedom. I'm telling you, they are Luciferian-led, and they're going to take everything from you. Read with me now chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18, as we get a real biblical look at this great prostitute who I've just described, this great whore, this Babylon mystery that we just talked about. Now let's read more about her. After these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. If John saw a lot of angels, they would come and do things. So he saw another one come. And this one having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. He was a major player. And verse 2, and he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. He described wonderfully this horrible Babylon whore. And listen to me, I don't know if you understand it, but this group of bankers and this group of the people that are going to combine together to make this one world ruler and this one world religion, these people are not doing it for you. They don't like you. They hate you. They want you dead. They do not want you around anymore. They want to do things their way and run their world their way. So we're going to look at that in great detail today. This chapter today is going to deal with the aftermath of the destruction of the Babylon whore. Okay, so we're going to be looking at her today, but this chapter is talking about what happens when she's dead, when she's destroyed. And by the way, she's going to be destroyed. That's the good news I bring you today. She's not going to win. She's going to cause people to suffer, and she's doing it even today, but she's not going to win. This great harlot has seduced and robbed the world, and God has had it with her, and He's going to destroy her. This devil union of bankers and Vatican is the place of every demon and unclean and hated bird, just like John said. Now let me give you a new word that you've been hearing on the news probably. Maybe you didn't focus on it, but you need to start focusing on it. It's called, the word is New World Order. Watch for the New World Order. It's already been talked about. Politicians will use that word as we approach our next election. And you heard George Bush Sr. was the first that used that word in public, and he talked about a new world order. Let me tell you about it. It's not new. It's not new. It's been around since the dawn of time. It started in the plains of Shinar when Nimrod, one of the grandsons of Noah, began to put this all together. And it's been going since then. It hasn't changed. But you need to hear about it, because the New World Order is set out to destroy the world and remake it with them in total control, with us under their thumb, with our freedoms and our liberties gone, our economies destroyed. That's what they're about to do. They're trying to do that to the world. Verse 3. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornications. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of her luxury. So we're talking about these banker elites that's controlling these economies, and the nations that have been trading with the great whore, and they've gotten rich on her, and they delight in her, they love her, and they don't want to see her go. Now, what we know as the New World Order, as I said, again, is that union of these religious leaders. I think it could be the Vatican, and I think we're going to see it join hands with these elite bankers, and who are under the real control, listen to me, who are under the real control of Lucifer. You say, preacher, are you sure? Are you saying that about the church, the Pope? I wouldn't have said that ever before, but I think we are seeing it happen today. I hope I haven't hurt your feelings, and if I have, get over it, because it's the truth. Deal with it. I don't want to tell you where my address is, because you find it. But we won't give up easy, let me put it that way. Now, so how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with this? What are we going to do? This is what I talk about all the time. I've been thinking about this. My wife and I have been talking and thinking about this for 15 years or 20 years. We've been watching this coming in. And how do we deal with this? What are we going to do? How do we lead churches? How do I talk to the people? And how do I teach you what to do? How do we deal with what's coming on? So the first thing I have to say this morning is going to be said by another voice from heaven. Read with me verse 4. Because this other voice from heaven is going to give us the exact prescription about how to deal with this. Are you ready? Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Folks, that's the message this morning. Come out from the whore. Get away from her. Run away from her. Don't have anything to do with this mystery Babylon, the harlot, any longer. As little as you can. I'll talk more about that. Keep reading. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. I have to say this right now, and I don't want you to misinterpret this. You have to get away from the world system. The more you're in the world system, the closer you're going to be to the whore when she's judged. When God begins to pour out His wrath on her, He's going to pour it out on those that are close to her, those that are connected to her, those that are feeding on her, getting rich from her. And again, we'll talk more about this as we go further. How are we to get away from her? Okay, we're talking spiritually first of all. I want to talk spiritually. How do you separate and distance yourself from the world system? Let me read you a few texts. John 15 says, if you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you're not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. You wonder why the world's going to hate you? And why it hates Christians and Jews? It's because the Lord loves us. I mean, keep reading John chapter 17. By the way, before I read John 17, you need to be aware that John 17 is the true Lord's Prayer. This is the prayer that we have recorded where Jesus is praying directly to the Father just prior to the crucifixion. And He said this, I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, because they're not of the world, just as I'm not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. You got to come out of the world. You got to come out of the world, folks. Get away from the world. Leave it. Abandon it. Do not love the world or the things in this world, or anyone. For anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him, it says. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it, but he who does the will of God abides forever. 1 John chapter 2. So we're in a world, we're going to be in this world. Let me say it like this. I like my air conditioner on 90-degree days. Do you? I love that part of the world. And I connected to that. And by the way, I like to eat almost every day. So I have to be in this world. We have to be in it. We're connected to it. But spiritually, we can't be of it. We can't be of the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, the pride of life. We have to distance ourselves from those parts of this world system. You see, when we read the world in the New Testament, it's translated from the word cosmos, but it also means the world system, how this thing works. We separate ourselves from that. Why is that? Because Satan is the ruler of the world system.
Amen.
He runs it. He owns it. He runs it. And so if you're a part of the world system, you're a part of what Satan is doing. So we have to walk away from it. Either that or we'll be judged with it when it's judged. So we're to get away from it. Why do we want to get away from the world system? Why do we want to get... Let me just, for a minute, I want to tell you. Do you remember when we had, I think it was the blackout in like 2007 when the ice storm came and knocked down all the power lines and everything? You know, the Amish people didn't even know we had trouble. And you talk to an Amish or a Mennonite person, they say, "Oh, you guys been out of power? Well, I didn't know. Sorry about that." They're not of that system. And I'm not advocating that we all walk off from our power, because I do like my air conditioning. But I'm saying we have to not be connected to this world system. We can't depend on it. We can't have our heart in it. We have to keep that connected to the Lord. Why do we want to get away from the world system? Because the world system is going to be destroyed. It's going to be burned with fire. Now that's scary talk, but I have to tell you, the closer you get to that world system, when it's burned with fire, the closer you're going to get to the fire. You're going to be burned with it. Let's read verse 6. Now remember, this voice, this unnamed voice in heaven is speaking, and another voice, and it says, "Render to her as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works, in the cup which she has mixed double for her. In the measure that she glorified herself and lived luxuriously, in the same measure give her torment and sorrow. For she says in her heart," listen now carefully, she says, "I sit as a queen and am no widow." In other words, she says, I'm on top of the world. I'm the queen. I'm not a widow. I'm not in mourning. In other words, I've got everything I need. I sit as a queen and am no widow and will not see sorrow. That's what the world system is saying today. You ask the normal American, how's things going in the world today? See, these are the people that listen to nothing but Channel 3, Channel 10, and 27 News. These people listen to nothing else but what they tell us on CNN. And you ask them, anybody, that's all they listen to is CNN or the mainstream media. And they say, everything's great in the world. The economy's up, unemployment's down, everything couldn't be better. That is pure hogwash. It's a lie. You're being told a lie. This economy of our nation is worse than it's been since the 70s or 60s. Unemployment is rampant. But we're not hearing the truth. We're being lied to. And so you've got to remember to come out from them, of this system, or we're going to get burned. The angel tells John to pay her back double for what she's done. John says, this is kind of the neat thing here I found. I've been thinking about this a lot. Because I asked myself, what am I going to be doing in eternity? You know, I'm easy bored. Are you, anybody else in here easy bored? I don't sit around well. And you tell me, here, sit on this cloud and play a harp, I'm thinking, I'm not interested, okay? I like it for a little while, but I want to do something. So I found out, and I've been interested in what we're going to be doing in heaven. We're not going to be just sitting around playing harps, okay? We got real jobs to do, real things. You say, what are we going to do? Okay, let me read you something. 1 Corinthians 6:2. Or do you not know that the saints will judge the world? If the world is judged by you, are you not competent to constitute the smallest law courts? Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more matters in this life? We're going to judge angels. We're going to be judging this world. The saints are going to be used to evaluate, to correct, to be a part of the fix We're going to be engaged in real societal, cultural things that will make life better. We're going to be doing wonderful things. Revelation 20 says we will judge with Christ. I saw thrones on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge. Thrones. We're talking about the church. We're going to be given authority to judge in eternity. Wow. Now we hear that this prostitute, this new world order, is going to be burned. And several times in the Revelation Apocalypse, the unveiling, it uses the word suddenly. 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 It says it at least 2 or 5 times, if not 3. So what does that mean? I don't know. It just means it's not going to happen gradually. It's going to happen suddenly. My imagination is, and I read on down through this, I hear the words smoke of her burning, and I hear other things. The people were standing at a distance. The ship captains were keeping off the coasts of this place because they didn't want to get up close to it because of radiation. I'm thinking we're talking about a nuclear holocaust. I think we're talking about this Babylon whore and the nation she represents of being destroyed suddenly. And I think that's what I'm saying. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I hear here. So this new world order that we're talking about, that's been living in luxury and which exists she exists. People in this category today live in ways we don't imagine. They're in a breakout society. We can't imagine how they live. And they're going to come to an end immediately and suddenly when Jesus begins to destroy them, and it's going to end quickly. Also now, let me say to you, avoid buying what she's selling. Avoid buying what she's selling. Okay, what do you mean by that, preacher? Well, spiritually, physically, separate yourselves from this world, from this situation. Let's read verse 9. Revelation 18:9. The kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. Now, is it going to be the actual Babylon that's in Iraq we're talking about? Could be. But if it is, there's a whole lot going to happen pretty quick. That economy in the Middle East is going to have to come together. And it's going to, because the captains of the world, the traders, they don't trade with Babylon. You know who they trade with? The United States. We're the trading capital of the world. We're the greatest nation on the planet. We're the nation that feeds the world. We used to do even more. We feed the world. We support the world. These captains and kings that committed fornication with the harlot, they've done business with America. Could it be that John is talking about America that's going to be nuked one day? I think so. I think so. I believe it's us that is the great whore, or we're at least part of it. And that's sad. It breaks my heart. Not for me, because I know where I'm going to go. But my grandkids, they might have to live through some of this. But I'm a believer. I believe the Lord's coming back, going to rapture out His saints. Amen. I believe that. Hallelujah for that. That's my hope. I look at this with wonder and amazement, but also joy and anticipation. I get up every day thinking, is this it? Come on. Is this the one? I live every day like it's my last one. So whatever's going to happen to her, the world's going to stand at a distance. The captains in the ships are going to park out in the ocean away from her and watch her burn. In other words, they're going to stay away from this whore. Now let's skip down to verse 17. Jump down with me. For in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing. Every shipmaster who traveled by sea, sailors and as many as trade on the sea, stood at a distance and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What is like this great city? They threw dust on their heads and cried out, weeping and wailing and saying, Alas, alas, the great city in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth. For in 1 hour she is made desolate.
Romans chapter 12 tells us this. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. And here it is. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world. In other words, don't be like this. Don't be like this. Don't conform to her, but be transformed. Be transformed. How does John say to do that? By the renewing of your mind. By reading, by thinking, by getting your head out of the sand and seeing what's going on around you. Renew your mind. Be watchful, prayerful, and thoughtful about what's coming on the world. They tell us that an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, could be exploded above our nation at a high altitude. And if that EMP pulse were to go off, and every nation in the world is aware of this, they set off a nuclear bomb way up in space. But what it does, it shuts down every electronic chip on our planet, on America especially. What is under it shuts it completely down, and it's not shut down for a day or two, it's shut down forever. In other words, America could be 18th century again. What is going on? What would go on in our modern cities where there are millions and millions of people clustered together, totally dependent upon electricity? Totally dependent. Within 3 days, there would be chaos and death and murder. We would put Ferguson and Baltimore that we would think that was nothing. Our literally, listen to me very carefully. It is our planners, people who think about these things, tell us, now this is mind-blowing. 9 out of 10 Americans will be dead within 3 months. 9 out of 10. Why? Because we'll kill each other. We won't have to have a nation invade us. We're already the veneer on our culture is so thin. Well, what about the police? They're going to be home taking care of their families. What about our fire departments? They're going to be home taking care of their families. Listen, folks, when this happens, if that were to happen, there's going to be death on a mass scale. Let's read verse 11. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. Merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, and purple, silk, and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, and every kind of object of ivory, and every kind of object of precious wood, bronze, iron, marble, cinnamon, and incense, and fragrant oil, incense, and wine, and oil, flour, and wheat, cattle, and sheep, horses, and chariots, and the bodies and souls of men. Verse 14. The fruit that your soul longed for has gone from you, and all the things which are rich and splendid have gone from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things who become rich by her will stand at a distance for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, Alas, alas, oh, oh. The great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, they're going to, oh, what have we lost? And then, rejoice over her, O heathen, you holy apostles. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets. For God has avenged on her, you on her. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence the great city of Babylon will be thrown down. Again, there's that violent concept. Smoke, fire, violence thrown down. And shall not be found anymore. The sound of the harpists, musicians, flutists, trumpeters shall not be heard in you anymore. No craftsman or any kind of craft shall be found in you anymore. And the sound of a millstone or the factories running shall not be heard in you anymore. And the light of a lamp, no light, no electricity will be seen in you anymore. And the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall not be heard in you anymore. In other words, they won't be partying at weddings. They won't have, in other words, there'll be no more rejoicing, no more joy, no more electricity. No more nothing. Whatever's going to happen will happen quick, and it will happen somewhat like Hiroshima and the devastation that was after that. Okay. What do I need to know? I'm going to close with this. Verse 23, the last part of it. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, For by your sorcery, all the nations were deceived. So he's saying the sorcery, the problem is with these great merchants, these great bankers, this elite. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and saints, and of all who were slain on the earth. I just need to say, God is aware. God knows. These people are not going to get by with it. They're going to devastate planet Earth. They're going to kill billions of people. But God will not let it go. Deception, listen carefully, deception is the currency of the New World Order. They're deceiving you. You're being deceived. If you listen to the news, if you read the current, if you hear the conversation in America, you're being deceived. They're saying, look over here, they're letting air out of footballs. Bruce Jenner has changed to something else. Look over here, watch that. And entertain, that's what they're trying to keep you diverse, misdirected. If they, listen to me, do me a favor. If the world says look over here, look that way. Because you're being deceived. Look another direction. Because they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. They're killing the saints. They always have been, and they will. She's going to be guilty of this. I believe that the New World Order is a conspiracy of the Vatican and the elite bankers of the world that have come together, and they're going to try to crush this planet and control it. Here's what we do. Here's what I'm begging you to do. Separate yourself from the world. Come out of it. Get out of it. You say, how do I do that? I don't know. Wife and I have been trying for 10 or 15 years to separate ourselves, to get out of it. Economically, financially, in every way. Do everything you can to separate yourself from the world. The closer you are to it, the more pain you're going to feel when it falls. I have to say that to you. The farther you're from it, the less pain you're going to feel. Like the Amish in the ice storm. They were not close to the system. They didn't feel the pain. And that's a good metaphor for what's going on in the world. Do not participate in the world system in any way. Don't be conformed. Be transformed. Be new in Christ. How am I going to become new? In Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Come to Him. Confess your sins. Repent. And let God fill you with the Holy Spirit. And you will be transformed. Die to self and live to Jesus. That's the message of the Bible. That's the message of hope I bring you this morning. That is truth that you won't hear in this world. You heard truth from God this morning, from the Bible. Father, this